Okay, so we have done a lot of work solving equations, and now we're going to move on into inequalities. If you can solve an equation, you typically can also solve an inequality. There are just a couple little things that you have to remember when solving them. And you should have already been working with inequalities last year. So hopefully these are just some small reminders that you have to know in order to solve an inequality, plus some more challenging things that you need to know for algebra specifically. All right, here we go. So solve an inequality the same way you would a regular equation. Keep in mind that if you divide or multiply each side by a negative number, you must flip the inequality sign. So if you have something is greater than or equal to and you divide by a negative, you need to change it to less than or equal to. If you have something is less than and you divide by a negative or multiply by a negative, you have to change it to greater than, okay? So make sure you keep that in mind. That's very important. Otherwise, it messes up the entire thing. Then we want to find the smallest or largest possible value that satisfies each of the following inequalities. Write the solution using interval notation. A parenthesis is used to exclude a number, and a bracket is used to include a number. Okay, so exclude means it's not really part of the solution set. Include means it is part of the solution set. And this should just say A, not and. So when you have parentheses 3, comma, this is infinity, means it keeps on going and going and going. Bracket, that means that all numbers greater than 3. So it's saying everything greater than 3, not including 3. Where the bottom one, bracket 3, parentheses, infinity, bracket, is read as all numbers greater than or equal to 3. The bracket is showing that the 3 is included in the solution set. The parentheses shows again that the 3 is not. All right, so that's something that's brand new here that you should know how to use. And we will be using that idea throughout the year when we do all different types of equations and functions. All right, so let's take a look at some problems here. Number 1, 7 minus 2/3 x is less than x minus 8. All right, so think of that less than as just being an equal sign. We want to solve for x, and there are x's on both sides. One happens to be a negative, the other is a positive. Since there is one negative, I'm going to add that one to the opposite side so I don't have to worry about negatives in general. So we have plus 2/3 x and plus 2/3 x. So now 7 is less than, this is 1, so it's 1 and 2/3 x minus 8. So I want to rewrite that because I prefer to have improper fractions instead of mixed numbers. 7 is now less than 3 times 1 is 3 plus 2 is 5, so it's 5/3 x minus 8. Add 8 to both sides. So we have 5/3 x and 15 with that less than symbol in the middle. Now we have 5/3. The inverse or opposite of 5/3 is to multiply by 3/5. Cancels. Multiply by 3/5. And now we have x is greater than 15 divided by 5 is 3 times 3 is 9. So now, right now it's read as 9 is less than x. We can flip it, so x is greater than 9. All right, so that means that all numbers greater than 9 are in the solution set, not 9 included, okay, because there's no equal sign. So parentheses, 9, comma, infinity, bracket is my solution set. And that tells me that all numbers greater than 9 will satisfy this equation. 9 does not satisfy the equation because it would then make both sides equal, not greater than, okay? So just something to think about there. Be really careful. Try to remember parentheses means not included or excluded. Bracket means included. All right, let's take a look at the next one. Oh, also, I forgot. Because we want to now figure out, well, what would be the smallest possible integer that actually satisfies this? Since it says x is greater than 9, the first integer that actually satisfies this would be 10. Okay, and 10 is the smallest possible integer value. Okay, so that is something that often shows up, and you have to make sure you actually answer the question. If, say, this was a Regents question and I just left it as x is greater than 9, I wouldn't get it correct because they wanted to know the smallest possible integer solution. And in this case, it is 10 because 10 is the next number greater than 9. All right, next one. On to number 3. All right, so now adding a little bit more. We have parentheses and variables on both sides. So we have to distribute first. We have 3x plus 9 is less than or equal to 5x minus 3. Variables on both sides. I want to move the smaller one over to the larger one, so I'm going to subtract 3x. So 9 is less than or equal to 2x minus 3. Add 3 to both sides. 12 is less than or equal to 2x. Divide by 2. And x is greater than or equal to 6. I'm going to flip that around because right now it's red. 6 is less than or equal to x. So x is greater than or equal to 6. Done. All right, so now in this case, if I'm setting up my solution set, I use brackets on both sides because of the equal sign. So it includes 6 all the way to infinity bracket. All right, so that means it's any number greater than or equal to 6. All right, and what's the smallest possible integer here? Since 6 says it's equal to, 6 is the smallest possible solution. Okay, so it's a little bit tricky there because I'm saying smallest even though this says greater. That means 6 is the smallest answer to the solution set, which is then greater than or equal to 6. Hopefully you're understanding that concept. That seems to be very tricky for some kids. And again, we'll be doing more of this. You will get it. All right, let's take a look at number 5. It looks like I'm doing all the odds with you. You'll be doing the evens later. All right, so number 5 now has parentheses on both sides and lots of things to simplify. So let's get rid of those parentheses first by distributing. 12m plus 18 is less than or equal to 42 plus 18m minus 24. Okay, I'm going to simplify the left side or the right side even more. So 12m plus 18 is less than or equal to 42 minus 24. I'm going to bring down that 18m plus, or 18m first. So 42 minus 24 gives me 18. So it's plus 18 again. Now I want to move the smaller variable over to the larger so I avoid having to deal with a negative. Minus 12m minus 12m. I get 18 is less than or equal to 6m plus 18. Subtract 18 from both sides. I get 0 is less than or equal to 6m. Divide by 6, and m is greater than or equal to 0. Remember, 0 is a solution. You can have the answer 0. Don't be scared of it. 0 divided by anything is 0. It is a number. It is an integer. You can have it as your answer. So let's turn this around. Instead of saying 0 is less than or equal to m, let's have m is greater than or equal to 0. Therefore, 0 is the smallest possible answer. Anything greater than or equal to 0 would work. And for my bracket notation, 0 is included. So it's a bracket, comma, infinity, bracket. Done. Okay. So hopefully you're seeing where I'm coming from here and understanding how I'm getting those brackets. So now it's 0 to infinity. So anything within those number sets would work to satisfy this inequality. All right. What do we got next? Number 7. All right, I'm skipping ahead. Make sure you're following along and going back to answer the ones that we've missed. All right, so we have to first distribute that negative 1/4. So we have 36 minus 5/4 x plus, because a negative times a negative is a positive, don't mess that up. A quarter of 24 is 6 is greater than 3/2 x minus 18. All right, I'm going to simplify the left-hand side. 36 plus 6 is 42 minus 5/4 x is greater than 3/2 x minus 18. Now I'm going to do something on purpose just because I want to show you what happens with the negative. I'm going to subtract that 3/2 x. Now if I'm subtracting 3/2 from 5/4, I prefer it to be 6/4. So now I got 42 minus 11/4 x is greater than negative 18. Make sure you bring down the negative with the 18. I can subtract 42 from both sides. So I've got negative 11/4 x is greater than negative 60. So now I've got a negative. I have to multiply by the reciprocal of that negative. So that's negative 4/11 and negative 4/11 here. Now, because I multiplied by a negative, I need to reverse my sign. So now x is less than negative 60 times negative 4 is positive 240 over 11. Oof, that's not a very pretty number, but we can use it to create a mixed number or to satisfy our problem. So it's saying that x has to be less than 240 divided by 11. Well, if I use my calculator, 240 divided by 11 is 21.81818181. So I know that it goes in at least 21 times. So I can write x is less than 21. And I could put 0.81 repeating, but I want to change that to a fraction. So x is less than 21 point, or 21, and if I try this now again, what's 240 divided by 21? Oh, that didn't work. That's not what I meant to do. 11 times 21. That's 231. 231 to 240 is 9. So there was 9 left over. So it's 21 and 9/11. All right. So if I'm doing my bracket notation, it's parentheses because it's not including then 21 and 9/11 because it's not equal. 21 and 9/11. Actually, I just did that backwards. Because it's less than, it has to be bracket negative infinity because it's going to be anything smaller than that, comma, 21 and 9/11 parentheses, because that 21 and 9/11 is not included in the answer. Now, also because it's less than, we're not talking about the smallest possible integer anymore. We're talking about the largest possible integer. It's going to be the highest possible value that would satisfy this equation. So if it's 21 and 9/11, the first integer less than 21 and 9/11, believe it or not, is just 21. So you just take away that fraction part. So the greatest possible integer is 21. Whew, that was challenging. All right, let's see what else we've got in store for you guys. Oh, that's it. All right, so you're going to